Well, now we're coming to that point you've all been waiting for, pulling number 3 piston out of Digby's engine. But it's not all that easy on these diesel engines because these things are really heavy. I know one person asked, how much do these weigh? Well, counting the engine with everything on it, it's about 575 to 585 pounds. You add the transmission, 125 pounds, you're over 700 pounds. That's why you saw us struggling to get it up and over the core support on Digby here behind me. But now, in order to work on the engine, to get the pan off, to get the piston out, I want to get the transmission off. I want to lighten this baby up. And that means once we get the transmission off, we can get it on an engine stand so we can rotate the engine. You know, if you don't have an engine stand, it really makes it hard to work on one of these engines as far as removing pistons. So we'll get it on the engine stand, but I want to warn you about removing these transmissions. There's something real important I need to stress here because you can cause some internal damage if you're not careful. By the way, with Joel and Ryan doing all the work around here, I don't have to wear my gloves all the time. So that's why you're going to say, yeah, where's your gloves? Okay, they're doing the work. I'm just doing the pointing. But I've had Joel remove all the bolts in the transmission bell housing. We've left the 2 top ones in, and we'll leave those in until we get everything situated. He's disconnected both of the transmission oil cooler lines. And before we remove the engine, we remove those 6 bolts on the torque converter. That's just going to make it easy to separate the torque converter from the flex plate. But the thing I want to warn you about is when you pull the transmission off, you need to pull it straight back and free of the engine without letting it drop. That's a long shaft that goes up in to the pilot bearing on the back of the crankshaft. You pull that out, let it drop, and it puts a force on that shaft, and it can damage the pump or the bushing for the transmission oil pump. So it's real important. We're going to get the lift in here. We're going to lift the engine up a little bit. Then we're going to support the transmission, and we're going to pull it straight back. We're not going to let it drop when we separate it from the engine.
And then shoot up a close-up. Okay, Dad, it's been a really long time since I've used an engine mount. How do we hook this up?
Yeah, I remember giving my old engine stand to Jerson, you know, a couple years ago, telling him I was never going to rebuild another engine, so I had to have him haul it back from his house today. We've got to get 4 attach points on this bell housing. If you look at the engine stand over there, you can see you can adjust the arms, but the trick now is to find long enough bolts. I'm not even sure if I have long enough bolts here in the shop that will go through the arms on that engine stand and all the way in there into the threads in the engine block. But we're going to start looking for those bolts. We can't do anything until we find them. Joel's lecturing me again. Anybody out there have their kids lecturing to them?
So the handle was MIA as part of this. So we're going to use a
breaker.
Yeah, an extension.
I was just actually about to ask, like, how are we actually going to rotate this without...
I have no idea how it's going to go. So this will be
I'm assuming it's going to be heaviest on this side.
Yeah.
And rotate.
So I think the first 90 degrees is going to be easy.
So
it's
someone
going to be...
holding... You hold down on that side, I'll hold down on this side. So whatever side goes, we'll know that it's kicking.
I don't know. I feel like it's a one-man job. Like, it's either going to work or, like, very suddenly... You're going to have, what, 585 pounds just rotate super hard. Yeah. Well, we're going to have, I guess we can tell by just like... We're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Okay. No, this is good because this won't go through here, so our lever is twice as long now.
Okay, don't tip it over.
I think that'll work.
Yeah, we'll be good.
Kent says.
Things Kent told us that weren't true. There's not many.
Well, it's always confidence inspiring when there's like an open box and then the hardware bag's open too, and you're like, well, I'm just gonna mount 600 pounds of Mercedes engine on it. Okay,
so my dad is gonna be here in about a half hour. He called ahead of time and he said, you need to take off the oil pan.
Yeah, you got to remove the oil pan, and there's going to be 3 hidden bolts you can't find.
So we're going to try to find those bolts, hopefully before he gets here, and we're going to film the whole progression of whether or not we succeed or not. So hopefully we can surprise my dad and find those bolts.
Because apparently he says everybody misses these 3 bolts, and we'll find out for everybody.
All right, here we go. I didn't know that a clap would get me so ready.
I feel like the first 90 degrees is going to rotate quite easily. Then to pull
Should
it.
I try to no, just keep my hands completely clear?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so try to roll it back a little bit. Oh, okay. Roll back.
Oh no!
Roll it back a little more. Just a pinch. Oh, I guess down. Down. Down? Yeah. Just a little more. Okay.
So now Kent would say, "Oh no!"
And then Kent would actually say, let's not show this.
Yeah.
So we got too distracted by the hidden bolts.
No, this is 2 weeks ago.
And we forgot that a long time ago that we...
But you can see right where all the water jackets expelled the fluid over everything. Shoot.
Now it's a cleanup episode.
Turkey.
Oh, turkeys.
You turkey. What did we learn, Joel?
So, after everything that just happened there, I think that was the last thing we were expecting, but I'm going to show you real quick. We need to take out that freeze plug to drain out the rest of the coolant from the engine block.
That should be on the checklist.
That one needs to be on the checklist. That's one of those, my dad says, oh, we'll get that one later. But I remember, I don't know this. So I will forget to do it later. So I might do a little video later on how to properly drain all the fluids on the engine, because that's the second leak I've gotten. Got it all cleaned up. All right, let's get that bolt off.
Okay.
We're not really doing very good with our attempt to get this done before my dad gets back, but now let's go ahead and rotate the engine again. A little more towards you.
Wow, we got lucky once today.
I was like, I don't see the stream. How's it hitting the bucket? So, yeah.
Okay, get the pin right.
We're going to start with our 5mm hex. Go ahead and remove all the bolts around the pan. And then hopefully we are going to find those secret bolts that Kent was talking about. And also hope that we avoid making any more mess today. So I want to talk about something super quick again that we mentioned in the last video that I really strongly believe in now, and that's in any of these instances where you're using a hex style tool and you end up where you might potentially be rounding out the head, I really strongly believe take a piece of used glove and just find a section of it, take it around the wrench and just get it to seal around like that, and it makes all the difference for it getting that extra grip when inside the bolt is super oily. All right, so we got all the drain bolts.
All the pan bolts.
So we got all the pan bolts taken out, and we're gonna go ahead and pull this off and see if it comes off, or if we forgot anything, or if everything about the bolts was a hidden booby trap.
Well,
The pan's gonna come off.
okay. Well, that's...
Did we take off the wrong pan?
%110% we did. So I thought he was talking to, oh man, that's so funny. He's talking about the belly pan here.
Yeah, I just realized that now that it's like we didn't need to take that off to get that off. Well, since we're here, let's show the inside of this part.
Oh, this is the most typical thing ever.
Oh, but wait, look at this, Ryan.
Oh, hey.
Hey!
Oh,
We
man.
did something accident, but we did something good.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh, look at it's over here too. Man, those are not.
That's not good.
Those are not small pieces.
Okay,
Let's
so-
do.
so
Look
for
at there's
size-
more in the pan here. Look at.
So for size reference, you can see it's not a small chunk
Oh man, Joel, look at this.
of
There's
metal.
they're all over through here
It's
too.
all through the pan. Okay, so I guess before we take out the big pan, we're gonna
I
wait
think-
till Dad gets here.
I need an adult.
We need adulting. We need adulting.
Joel, look at this. Look down here in the oil pickup screen. Look at those massive chunks.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Okay, so
We're gonna
I think we found.
the findings.
I think we found some Digby damage.
Yeah. Then look at this. I don't know if you saw this. So you're holding the camera. But look at all these chunks that are just stuck to the bottom. But that's upside down, right?
Yeah. So it's not going to really show up from that angle, but we'll shoot a close up.
Yeah, because look at
All the
like
pieces.
chunk. I mean, even if you have a magnetic drain plug, I mean, those are heavy enough that they're not. Magnetic drain plugs pick up shavings. those are chunks.
I mean, this piece alone, what is that from? That's not pre-chamber.
I don't know, man.
That's a hunk of metal
Not
from
small.
something.
I don't know. All I know is that like the deeper we get into this and we see more, like the more respect I have for how tough these engines are, because that'd kill a Honda.
I know people have said that we should like just film it all and like, but I feel like I'm a writer for the episodes of Lost where I don't know where direction we ever are going. I mean, a week ago we were putting a new engine in, and then we're like, oh, let's rebuild it. And now we're finding chunks of metal the size of golf tees.
Yeah.
Can't.
They're out the Kent light.
So we didn't find those 3 bolts because we took the wrong pan off.
we removed the oil pan instead of the belly pan. So,
But we found a lot of damage from what looks to be
an oil sprayer.
the oil sprayer. So we're gonna go ahead and get the correct pan off now, and actually like dig through and see what it is that we have in there.
Yeah.
Cue the montage. Okay, we're back exactly where we were.
So I'm really curious as to what your dad's going to think of our progress so far. As is the mess more or less, or what he expected? We've taken the incorrect pan off, but we found something exciting. So I don't know. I think the net benefit is it's like, okay, well, we've found the closest thing to a smoking gun so far.
I think he's gonna be the most happy that we have at least 7 minutes of a Digby episode that he hasn't had a participant.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. All right. I like option C best.
We've done 17 things wrong, but gotten the one right. Wrench.
Whoop, passing.
Real good.
Guys, stay entertained.
You have no idea.
We've got so many treats for you.
First treat.
Look at this. Where's the other? This also.
Look at that chunk, Dad.
What? What is that?
See, so we took the wrong pan off, but we found some cool surprises.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I don't have to rebuild things. Are you getting this on camera? Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
we have just learned a extremely valuable lesson here. You have to be really careful rebuilding an engine that's suffered any kind of catastrophic strain
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna see. We talked to Jerson, and I don't know how to fill that into this clip, but I didn't actually record Jerson talking about it. But it's the sprayer. It's the
Oil
tip to the sprayer.
It looks like it is the oil sprayer.
So that's why
Which
it's like
means-
we got to get the rest of this
yeah.
off, which means
Yeah.
it would
I
answer
bet
a lot of the questions.
I bet cylinder 3 is missing an oil sprayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet you we're going to find a bunch of scoring in the oil pump.
Yeah. Well, and Jerson was saying too that even the stuff. Because look at the screen. Look in there. I mean, there's big chunks in there.
man.
The pan's got chunks stuck in the
So
thing.
think about all the small stuff that was then circulated through, and he's like,
gee.
if that's getting through in between the bearings, that's going to
well,
crystallize it and get it hot there
you'll
too.
See. You guys are on it. You're on it. I didn't even need to come out.
Oh no!
Well, you also-
because we're like, what does this mean? What do we do?
So, my gut feeling was right all along.
Yeah.
It's like,
You were right. I knew
I
you were
don't know
right.
about this, but man,
Yeah.
this is a really good lesson. So keep working on this. You got lots of pictures of that, right? Get close-ups of that.
I'm gonna get some more close-ups, but I wanted to
yeah.
collect all the stuff and put it on the pan so that we could show a shot
Yeah.
of all the stuff.
But yeah, this
there's
is
stuff in
this
there.
is-
There's stuff in there.
We got Joel. Yeah, we got a close up of that.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? I was like, finally, the smoking gun we're looking for the whole time.
That looks like the oiler. Looks like part of the oiler. That sure explains why piston 3 shot.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, look at all this stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Finally, right? I was like,
Finally, we have. What do we call it? Definition.
yeah,
Definitive.
right. The definitive,
Answer.
yeah, reason that we're not going to rebuild.
Sorry, I'm late, but I had to take care of some other
Oh no, there was
issues.
We also learned something.
that when we talk about draining a fluid, we do it then because we didn't pull the freeze plug before we went to turn it over.
So guess what happened when we rotated the engine?
Coolant.
We finally made a mess. But we shot it live.
No. We forgot to pull the plug on that. This is the drain plug right here.
Yeah.
No, we
after we spilled it, we put it back on and then we drained it.
We drained it correctly.
So half of it was drained properly. The other half was a surprise.
You guys have been having all kinds of fun.
We have a useless montage. We made a montage where we didn't actually get anything done.
Now we have drama.
Yeah.
We have drama at Mercedessource.
Well, you should have.
Like I said, that's going to be
This one
two
I got this.
videos. So.
Okay.
100 videos in that engine.
Yeah, 100 videos on Digby. Okay, let's go ahead.
Is that the one you were doing, or are you doing this one?
So you'll have to come up. Well, is this loose on this side? Yeah, it is. So you just try to just take it off, Joel, with all the hoses. You've got 1, 2, these 3 long bolts, number 17s, and this whole AC pump will come off.
Oh, cool.
Okay?
Okay. I'm really happy that was rolling. I don't have to you to re-say that.
Yeah.
Other than you're in your civvies, yeah.
Where's
Yeah.
my blue?
Where's your shop coat?
Where's my shop? But I personally, like I say, I wouldn't. If it's, you'd have to take this into a machine shop, make sure they got all the. You'd have to pull all the plugs in the block, make sure it's totally blown
I
out,
already dropped one of those pieces back in there, so that's great.
and then you'd have to have the crankshaft made the first. All these things you'd have to do because this engine has something.
Imagine if one of those pieces of chunks.
And this isn't from running biodiesel.
Well, it's like now we actually realize that the heat was probably caused by the fact that
wasn't
because it wasn't putting enough oil into the.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's just one of
So
those.
the
things
heat,
like,
well, it wasn't overheating, it wasn't coolant loss, it was
Probably wasn't
lack of
gas.
oil, right?
It was-
Like, yeah.
How could, I just don't know how that oiler. We've got another engine in here that we could pull out.
Yeah.
The one the really good one in there. That's a good. We could pull that out and show. I've never seen an oiler break off.
Yeah, well, and that's what, when Jerson pointed out just that little pinhole in that big piece.
Yeah,
and you can see that it's circular, so I'm curious if that's going to be, because that's a lot of material. I mean, I don't know how big they are, but like,
That's
If
too
that-
much material for just one oiler.
yeah.
Okay, so we gotta get a couple things off other than those pan bolts, and we realize is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pull this whole AC unit off the side because we're gonna take this pulley off so we can get better access to the bolts that are behind it in here. And then over on our engine mount, we actually learned that we had put one of our mounting points through
The belly pan.
the belly pan, so that we're going to need to go ahead and switch this arm to a different bolt spot location. So yeah, we're learning. We're learning.
Well, now that I've got my lab coat on, Joel, I'm ready to talk more seriously about Digby's engine here. I've been watching you guys struggle with all these bolts that are holding this pan on. Every single one of them, I hear them snap. You're having to fight them. You're having to use your glove trick, having to hammer on them. We've got one over here that's rounded out, only one. And I think later on, Joel, why don't you go ahead and show them a little tip on how to use a chisel to get that particular bolt loose. But I want to talk about some of the things I've seen here as they've been struggling getting this pan off. I think, this is just my personal opinion, is I think there's some evidence here this engine's been overheated and overheated a lot. One of them, all the bolts are way over tight. So that usually means the engine's been running hot. The aluminum's expanded, so we've got a little bit of evidence there about the heat. But this is another one right here. Look at this rubber pickup for the oil pump. It's hard as a rock. Usually this is soft and flexible. That's another indicator that the engine oil has been running real hot too. But the real thing I want to talk about is this metal you guys found. You know, I threw it in this magnetic tray, and it's not steel. It's all aluminum. And looking at it closely, I think that this could be one of the oiler tubes for the bottom of the cylinder walls in the turbodiesel engines. And we're going to find that out when we pull the pan off. You got just a little bit more. There was quite a bit of metal down here in the screen. That also looks like it's all aluminum. So I'm as curious as you guys are. What are we going to find when we actually get this pan off? You're going to get to see this when we get the pan off more closely, but this is the little part that bolts onto the lower part of the cylinder wall that sprays oil up on the cylinder wall to help keep the piston cool as it's moving up and down. So this is probably from number 3, okay? And that's what I'm suspecting, but there's a lot of metal here, so I think we got more than just one oil sprayer that's been damaged. Come out and create the dent, and then as you come, you just roll it down to this point so you can get it to spin.
Okay.
Wow, you gotta be kidding me.
There it goes.
Okay, should be able to get it out now.
Holy cannoli.
You got to get just the right angle. You didn't have enough
Angle to it.
You were going too straight on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that one was really on there, wasn't it?
So we're going to put the jack stand on the front to take some of the tension off so that we can change out the arm on the back of the engine mount. And then we'll be ready to pull the pan off. Unlimited amount of Mercedes bolts around.
Let's see. I always hate these jobs because they just mess everything up. All your tools get all messed up.
It's oily. Nothing's right. Everything's broken. It's a Toyota.
Yeah.
It's basically a Land Cruiser at this point.
Okay, go ahead and pull that jack. Now you don't need to film this. I'm just going to tap.
Okay, we're gonna tap it
Let me,
to break it free a little bit. Make sure that we have all the bolts loose. It's moving a little bit, but I feel like there's something. Dad, how long have you had that hammer?
I think I've had that hammer 25 years. It's still my favorite. Okay, there's something over
On
here
the front side.
on the front side.
oh, there's one right back down in here. It's one of your hidden bolts, isn't it?
Oh yeah, shoot. We may have to take that bracket off for the AC pump. This is a good example why you never use force. Just be gentle until you make sure you have all the fasteners removed. Listen to the sound here. See, when I tap here, I got the hollow sound. So I know this side's loose. But when I go over and tap over here, right away, I know there's a fastener down there that we forgot. And it's one that's hiding behind a bracket.
So right down in here, we missed that bolt.
Yeah, it's a good old-fashioned man torque.
What?
That I just loosened it here.
Oh, okay. Here. Okay. See, what I'll do is I'll take that tray and I'll put all of my, try to keep your tools organized by grouping.
Yeah.
So if you're working on the pan bolts, you keep all the 5mm stuff in one tray and then keep the...
You got gloves on, Dad?
I'm going to get a magnet, Joel. Where's a magnet, you guys?
There's one right there on the left side of the bench. Yep.
So I'm wearing blue gloves right now, but you can see the specs
Yeah,
in
let's
the
see.
pan. So let's go ahead and see if the magnet, if they pull up, or if these are all aluminum as well. No. Not all of it, but
Yeah, it looks like most all of it's aluminum.
okay.
Which is funny because even if you had a magnetic drain plug, it's not like it would have saved
helped.
you.
Okay, so we're getting that last bolt off.
Okay.
About to pull the head. So this bolt right here wasn't clearing when we tried to pull the pan off, so we're gonna go ahead and pull the top arm out so I can pull this out and then go ahead and refasten the engine mount on. Okay, take 3. Now we're gonna get the pan off. Alright, let's take a look at what we have. Light? Got light?
Let's get the light.
And then go ahead and always remember to refasten the bolt we removed to clear the head. And when we took that out, to make note, we did add the jack back under the engine to release the tension that was in the bolt.
There's number 1 oiler.
Okay, so go look at number 2 oiler.
Oh my gosh, it's broken off in there.
It's hard to tell right here, but where you can see the focal point is from the camera, there's no lever extension running off, which if you look at number 2, you can see. Ryan, could you point at that rod part that runs off of it? Yeah, right over there. And then if you get back to number 3, you'll see it's completely missing. Okay, so we're going to rotate the engine slowly.
We've got the chain still. Yeah, let's see if we can just rotate the engine just a little bit. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so now we'll go back around.
So you can see number 5 real.
So you're going 3 real quick. Wow, it completely snapped. So let's look at number 5. Let's see, 5. What 5 looks like. And back to 3. And it's gone.
The piston's up way too high.
Okay, so one thing we're noticing real quick. So if you come down back into 3, the piston's too high. You can see it's actually
way more of the skirt than you should be able to.
way more skirt
Yeah.
showing above where that
The cylinder line.
Should have. Yeah.
where the cylinder line is supposed to be. So you can see on number 2, it's flush, but on number 3, I mean, it's sticking up almost a full inch.
So that means bearings in there are just. Why would it have that much more movement?
So let's go ahead and talk to Kent.
Well, so Joel, I was standing back there. You were saying, "What's going on here?" And I came over here, and your observation of why that oiler tube got broken off, I mean, I've never seen that. And I'm wondering how, the only way an oiler tube is going to break is if the piston is
I mean, it looks like it got snapped clean off.
and all the other ones are fine. But you said, this is what got my attention. You said, hey, Dad, this piston is sticking down about a ½ inch further than the other pistons. So I came over here and, Ryan, I didn't say anything when I saw you pull the pan, but I'm looking at this, I'm saying, hey, that's different. Those are like aftermarket connecting rod nuts. And I noticed the sealant that was used to seal the pan, a lot of extra green sealant. That's not factory from my experience. So right away, I'm just standing back there thinking, looks like this engine's been opened up before and worked on. Mm-hmm. And then I came over here and I am looking down here at piston number 2 and piston number 3. They're about the same height as far as the crank journals. And look at that. Look at number 3, how much further it's sticking down. And you can look down in there and you could see the piston was coming down far enough that it just broke that oiler tube right off.
Well, this part right here, I'm pretty sure, I'll get a camera angle close up, but if you see on the back side here, it almost looks that during this rotation, it would have probably grabbed it on its first rotation when the guy cranked it over and snapped it right off. There's no way that would clear.
And no fighting chance.
I've never seen it. I mean, I can't believe Digby keeps giving us these lessons.
So it looks like the connecting rod's shorter. How does a
connecting rod get shorter? I thought at first, well, maybe we've got a bad wrist pin or a connecting rod.
But we measured it. We measured it.
Well, there's no noise in there. There's no knocking noise.
Yeah. And if it was too short, then of course it would never get compression.
I think this is just too much excitement for one day. and we're not going to know the answer today. So we're going to come back. Maybe, what do you think? Next episode?
Next episode, I think we go to Piston College.
We go to Piston College.
We get that on the bench. We start really explaining everything about what is wrong here, because it's not one thing. I mean, it's...
I know, and we won't know until we get that out, but this is really weird.
Yeah. This is going to be way more time than we thought it was going to be.
Oh, Digby.
Oh, Digby. Thank you very much.
Okay, 2's flush. Here comes 3. And...
Go on.
That's it. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Ooh,
it's short.
that's short. See, that's the proof. See,
What?
that's just about,
Hey, Joel, what are you seeing down there?